here's 3 Bhakti Yoga practices that will instantly lift you up. Remember, I promised in the title that there was going to be something about getting lifted. So there's a sense of connection through our relationship. And then what do we do about it? So these 3 are part of the first 2 especially, are the watering process if you're a gardener. So if you want to water the plants, hearing and chanting. So this is quite natural in any discipline. In fact, you may notice that during the thick of the pandemic, when everyone was locked down, nobody went anywhere, but they did meet and talk. That's what people do on Zoom in every group organization to make progress. They get together and they talk about where they're supposed to be going. Is that correct? It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Think about it. Like, how did you build a building? Well, we talked about it. Because first there has to be this sense of what's my goal? We're going to build a building. And then how do you get it done? Well, the ingredients are already there. They exist. How do you assemble them? You talk about it. You hear about it. And so in constructing one's spiritual practice, these are the foundational points. You hear, you chant, and you remember. So it's called shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam, vishnu smaranam. And so when you, and the iconic picture on the left, this was the occasion of the speaking of one of the most important wisdom literatures, and the person sitting on that ornate seat is called Shukadev. He had learned from his father this very powerful wisdom. And to his left is sitting a king named Parikshit, and Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days. So then all the other sages had assembled because the Parikshit gave up his kingdom. He said, I have 7 days. I better figure out what I'm supposed to do now in the last 7 days. And everyone had a different opinion until this great teacher, Shukadev, appeared. He was actually the youngest among him. He was only 16 years old at the time. But everyone considered him the most enlightened, and he had learned from his father, Vyas, this wisdom. So they put him on this special seat, which is meant to indicate honoring the knowledge that he's speaking. And he spoke to Parikshit for 7 days. And this is an example of hearing and chanting. So Parikshit was listening, that's hearing, and Shukadev was speaking, that's chanting. So when it's spiritual subject matter, spiritual vibration, then what you get is this power of remembrance. So that excellent question that Gokul asked about managing negative thoughts and so forth, I talked about pouring the milk. So if you amend your hearing or you adjust what you hear, you'll notice that your whole life follows it. And if you're in a situation where it's very difficult to hear or you don't have a taste for it, you can start with just a little bit and then you'll develop a taste, and you'll notice the transformative power of sound. So there's mantra, like we did in the beginning. There's also hearing from these wisdom literatures that have been passed down over many generations. And this kind of vibration is extremely potent. And then when you repeat it, then that's the chanting part. And then you'll naturally remember it. And whatever you remember, whatever becomes prominent in your mind, that's the direction you're going to go. And I must say, if we can come back into the room just for a second, that somebody mentioned that, or they resonated with the idea that life is like a roller coaster. And so we'll always have this sense of ups and downs. Wars come, economic strife, and then things are up for a while, and then they go back down. So how do we handle all this? If you recreate your environment so that you can hear, chant, and remember, high-minded sound vibration, the sound vibration that actually has its own potency, then you'll notice that you're able to rise above it in any given situation. You can actually take shelter of that process and be able to weather the storms of the material world.